so much for joining us. Can you hear at the back all right? Is that okay for volume? Yes, it's not too loud. Great. Thank you very much. My name is Tim, I'm from VegFest, and I am absolutely thrilled, beyond words, to be hosting this panel. It's a panel that we're repeating tomorrow. So we've got two panels, and it's on the subject of movement unity. And it's basically involving quite a few of the main groups in the UK right now. And it's looking at what's already happening. It's basically collaboration. So a lot of the groups have been collaborating quite clearly on a number of campaigns. And there's a definite feeling that, if we can continue this, grow this, and also maybe coordinate it a bit, we can really increase the impact of what we're doing. So what we're going to do today, we've got 5 groups with us today. We've got another 5 tomorrow. 8 of these groups were with us at Bristol a couple of months ago, where we did an initial discussion. Those panels are available to view somewhere. You'll have to find them, but they're all on Facebook. We might have to, dig deep for that, but they are there. I'll make sure they're posted on the VegFest Facebook page later so you can see them. The 8 groups we started with included Animal Rising, Animal Aid, Viva, Animal Justice Project, Plant-Based Treaty, Animal Think Tank, Plant-Based Unis, and We the Free. And I'm thrilled to say that all 8 have accepted the invitation to come back to the panels today. We're going to look a little bit further on this topic. We're also joined, I'm absolutely thrilled to say, by the Vegan Society and the UNSAPS. So, that's tomorrow. This collective has now grown to 10. And of course, there's lots of other groups that are involved by default, but we just haven't quite got around to including and discussing, but it's kind of work in progress. So the first thing I'd say is that we wouldn't be here without the groups. And there's 2 important people to thank. One is the groups themselves, and we know that we have these fabulous groups going back, some of them 80 years next year for the Vegan Society, 47 years for Animal Aid. Viva is celebrating, I think, 30 years this year. Hunsabs are older than me, so that's 1963, they started when I was born. There's lots of amazing groups that we go out. Some of them are newer, Animal Rising, Animal Justice Project, probably 7, 8 years, 9 years. Yeah. So we've got a whole mixture of really interesting ones. Just got a new one, Vegan Support Farmers, we fought last month. So there's a really exciting time. So first of all, I'd just like to extend that gratitude to all of the groups and all the people who work so hard to bring us alive. But also importantly to yourselves, the supporters, people who support these groups, donors, people who fundraise, people who share petitions, buy merchandise, turn up to the AGMs, subscribe to the magazines. This is all really important work, and of course getting out to demos and so on. So if that's you, give yourself a round of applause and some gratitude on behalf of the animals, people and the planet, and let's accelerate this process. So on that note, I'm just going to start. I'm going to allow all our panel to introduce themselves. I'm going to start with Izzy from Viva, because Izzy is feeling confident.
I was handed the mic, I'm going to be honest.
Got the mic first. But what I'm going to ask our groups to do is just first of all introduce themselves and then briefly talk about a couple of campaigns that are in process or planned that they would really like to see that collaboration and support from. And just before I do that, I'm just going to give a couple of examples. So, Izzy, I'm about to steal your thunder, but of course next week, this time next week, there's a COP28 demo being headed up by Viva, which is literally says on the flyer, it's a collaboration with other groups, which is a really important development. And then, of course, we've got, just last week, Plant-Based Treaty announced that they're now doing, working with January to get all the universities to adopt a plant-based diet for January next year, in association with Veganuary. So these are a couple of ideas just to let you know what we're on about. That's the kind of collaborations we're talking about. Izzy.
Hello, hi, I'm Izzy. I work for Viva. I'm an animal campaigner at Viva. Prior to Viva, I was a grassroots activist. I've actually probably done work with all the groups here as a grassroots activist. So yeah, it's really nice to be on the panel with you guys and everything. Some of the stuff, obviously, Tim's kind of just got on my thunder in terms of like one of our biggest things that we've got coming up. But the COP, we are still seeing that the government's not talking about meat and dairy, and it's an inaction. It's a disgrace that they're not talking about it, basically. So all our groups, we wanted to invite climate groups and animal groups and maybe like welfare groups that are still on the cusp and still support and want to help us transition and talk about the meat and dairy industries and getting them on the COP, kind of get them discussed by COP. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that's going to happen. So if you want to join us, there's going to be a demo outside of Parliament Square on the 25th of November, so I think that's next week. And yeah, please do join us. That's it.
Yeah,
cool.
And another one. What else is on?
What else have I got going on at the moment?
Let's have some inside information, Izzy.
Oh, I don't know. Well, we might have or might not have another campaign launching at some point.
Something really exciting happening in Uganda.
Oh, we do. Yeah, sorry, I completely forgot about that. Juliet's in Uganda at the moment, and she's basically founded Viva Uganda. So she's working with. She basically went out to Uganda a few years ago and went on a hike and basically met these gorillas. And she was, gorillas are incredible, but she was gobsmacked by these incredible animals, and she felt like that we needed to do more to support the local wildlife and wildlife of like the world, not just of the UK and the whole world. So she decided to found Viva Uganda out there. And what we're doing at the moment, what she's done is she's supporting an orphanage, and she's supported them with fresh food and vegetables, education about how to transition plant-based, and how to also assist basically your local communities. So we're trying to stop the meat and animal agriculture from the start and educate them as soon as possible. That's what we're doing at the moment.
Fabulous, thanks.
Any more tips?
It really is exciting. What a couple of fabulous campaigns from some from Viva. Animal Aid have been running campaigns for 47 years. Todd has probably not been there that long, but he's been there long enough to know about a couple of really good campaigns that you'd like to see people help collaborate more with.
Yeah, so I'm Todd, one of the campaign managers at Animal Aid. I've actually been here 8 years. No, I'm quite 47, but I've never had a real job, so yeah, well, job. We run a lot of campaigns on various different topics and issues. So one area that would be great to collaborate on is the work we're doing on animal experiments and funding replacements for those experiments. We've already been quite successful in replacing the LD50 test. You can find a lot more about that on our website. But this is something that we're very much at a precipice, aren't we? This has such potential to go so much further. So with the help of others working together on targeted campaigns, on targeted tests, on targeted animals, etc. Targeted animals sounds bad, not what I mean. We have the potential to make such huge changes in that area. So that would be something to work on.
Yes, so that's the animals experimentation, which Animal Aid have been leading this up for ages, and they've collaborated with Accelerate to create non-animal testing facilities in universities and stuff. That's a really good example of a collaboration. And you also collaborate with Lush, didn't you, to promote that. So there's another one where you're working there with businesses and science to develop some really sensible alternatives. There's another one too that I think I've heard on the inside, and on the cusp of quite a big victory here, that we've seen recently. I don't know if you've been paying attention in Wales and in Scotland in the last couple of months. The snares have been banned, the glue traps have been slammed, and that's as a result of an incredible collaboration headed up by Animal Aid, I think including League Against Cruel Sports and a few others.
League and One Kind, local campaigners as well. So I think that, I think I'm probably jumping the gun a bit here, but it's just collaboration relies on finding people who have certain who have certain expertise in certain areas and collaborating with that way, regardless of, you may not agree with them on all issues, but if there's a certain issue that you have an agreement on, collaborating on that issue makes perfect sense.
That is brilliant, and I'm so chuffed to see, Viva and Animal Aid are really leading the way now and showing really good leadership and collaboration. Very open manner, public, very much in favour. I think it's changing the culture. Those of us that go back a few decades, we know that quite often the animal groups not necessarily working against each other, but always working for each other. You mentioned that don't always get over our differences. It's very important collaboration. You can't get over our differences, find common ground. So thanks for that, Todd. So Sash is next. So Sash, you work with We the Free. We the Free, I think, actually have already the biggest collaboration on National Animal Rights Day. Is it? Yes. I think over 200 cities this year. Yeah. So what a collaboration. Sash, tell us more.
Thank you. I think I need to say any more, to be honest. I think you summarised it really well. My name is Sash, and I'm Advocacy Ambassador and one of the directors of We the Free. We the Free as an organisation is relatively new. We've just celebrated our third year running, but we already have teams in over 80 locations around the world. It's a global organisation, and we have teams in it's 25 countries now. Our plan is this to National Animal Rights Day. So our plan is this to have the people behind the National Animal Rights Day, and that is our biggest collaboration today in terms of locations and the amount of activists that participated. Next year will be NAD 14. Our plan is to run those events for about 14 years now. We had 18 teams in the UK alone, and next year we're aiming for 30. So if anyone would like to join, whether it is as a speaker, whether it is to prepare food or support activists or play music, etc. It's essentially a memorial service for the animals and for people that are not familiar with that. So that's just one of the collaborations that we're working on, and it's an ongoing project. But I would like to add, in terms of the collaborations, there are two ways that you can do it. On organizational level, but also collaborate as individuals, sharing and resharing your content and amplifying the voice through using social media. And it's so easy, and you can use various free platforms such as Canva and CapCut, I think. And you can just upload content directly to social media. Another collaboration that we're working on, again, it's an ongoing project, and it's got a tragedy. This one. It's the construction of the first octopus farm in Las Palmas in Gran Canaria. It's quite a controversial project on several levels, because we've teamed up with a political party in Spain, and they've been campaigning for 2 years. Political party and charities don't always go together very well, but it was a success, and we managed to actually raise awareness. The campaign was actually the biggest in terms of the amount of organization that took part. So, I don't know, possibly the biggest campaign, I would say. We even reached Taiwan, Taipei, Taiwan, where also they had similar events. And of course, Animal Aid, we're communicating with them now, see how we can work with them. Viva, ongoing project. We work with organizations that facilitate campaigns, and we, as We the Free, facilitate the events on the ground. And that's how this collaboration works. And of course, animal rights. Thank you.
Fabulous. Well, that's amazing. And what I love to hear there is how global We the Free are. You know, we are really reaching out all over the world with campaigns like that. To hear things that happen in Taiwan and Dubai and stuff, it's really, really exciting. Uganda, you know, it is pretty thrilling. And I know that there are other countries looking at the UK now. They're quite excited by this. They're looking at groups in other countries and looking at can we start going down the same route. So Sash, that's brilliant, and I'm sure we'll all work really hard to make NARD a really big occasion. We'll come to NARD in a minute, but NARD, well done, and that's fabulous. Thanks, Sash. So I'm going to hand over to Aaron from Animal Justice Project with this microphone.
everybody. So I'm Tim from Animal Justice Project. I'm the campaigns manager. Firstly, apologies if you just came to my talk. It just finished, because you've just heard me talk for an hour. So I'm the campaigns manager. I've been with the group for about 5.5 years now. In the time that I've been with the group, we've moved from working on Viva section to now working on animal agriculture. When I've been introducing campaign after campaign, the focus is on animal agriculture. So now we have 7 core campaigns, which covers pretty much everything related to agriculture in terms of exports, transport, dairy, eggs, etc. I think historically, over the past few years since I've been with the group, we've done a lot of very cool collaborations. One example is Dominion in Australia. We collaborated with them a couple of years ago, I think it was about 2 years ago now, because they had a big campaign called Drop the Crop. So they wanted farmers in a few places to stop using crocodile skins. So they approached us as the group that they wanted to work with in the UK. So we ran demos in London. We collaborated with all of the local activists here. Obviously, crocodile farming is something we usually work on, but we do work in farming, so something we want to do a bit of a crossover with. In terms of projects, we don't have anything big planned in terms of collaboration. There's 2 projects I would really love to get groups on board with. I can't really say all the details, I suppose. Last year we launched a campaign called Down the Duck Farming. So we have exposed UK duck farming quite a lot in the UK. So we've gone onto farms, we've looked at the transport, we've installed cameras in Southwood houses, all the biggest duck producers in the UK. So we launched this Down the Duck Farming campaign to use all of that information. And part of that we did an open letter. So actually most UK groups are signed on to that open letter. I'm pretty sure like Viva, Animal Aid, I think Animal Rights when it was Animal Rebellion, I'm pretty sure you signed on. I think we had about 20 groups that signed on. We also collaborated with animal sanctuaries, so I think we also had around 20 sanctuaries in the UK that we signed on to. So that's a project that I want to work on more next year. I'm currently working with some lawyers on the legal side of things, so looking to doing the white papers and things like that, and potential DMs as well. Obviously, if you're trying to enter the industry completely, it's kind of hard to get MPs on board if you're not ready to implement those well-first steps, unfortunately. But we will,
Thanks. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the Animal Justice Project. I've had a pretty high-profile campaign just like running the last month or so about exposing some of the appalling abuse of chickens and the obviously completely corrupt and misleading higher welfare label standards. I think it's important to know that's Animal Justice Project. It's important because it's kind of niche for you, isn't it? You looked at where there was a gap and you came in and you really worked hard on that. And as we've experienced, not everyone understands your campaigns always, but they've attracted a lot of media attention. They really are undermining and exposing the RSPCA red tractor nonsense that we all know is nonsense, but obviously lots of consumers don't. But it's also brilliant that you've been collaborating with the animal sanctuaries. I think we all know historically animal sanctuaries tend to get a little bit left out of the equation in the vegan animal rights world. Certainly in terms of funding, the sanctuaries we're seeing. I'll just note, Planet. The original chocolates, they are supporting Dean Farm as a sanctuary. and they're really helping out there, and that's something we'd love to see a bit more of. I think the animal sanctuaries tend to get a little bit left out of the equation. It's great to hear that work you're doing. Yes.
So yeah, with the sanctuaries, it's something that we're going to try and focus on more this year as well. So for the past 3 months, if anybody follows us on social media, you probably would have seen something about it. So we've been running a campaign called To the Rescue. So what we've been doing is getting our supporters to nominate sanctuaries each month, and then basically the sanctuary with the most votes we've been given a chunk of money to for the last 3 months. Obviously, we need donations ourselves as well, but we do understand that if we're going to push for a vegan world, the only way we're going to be able to do that is with supportive sanctuaries and all sanctuaries as well. So yeah, we really wanted to push that.
Brilliant, thanks. So some of you may notice that Rose is not Dan. Dan has had to call off due to flu, but we're very fortunate that Rose has stepped in last minute. And Rose, you're Animal Rising, formerly Animal Rebellion, and clearly one of the hottest collaborators in town. You've done some really interesting stuff, especially this year, and I credit Animal Rising actually for really pushing for this and doing, so tell us more, Rose.
Thank you. Yes, my name's Rose. I've been with Animal Rising for about 4 years now, and just in case anyone hasn't heard of us before, so like Tim said, we used to be Animal Rebellion, and we're focused on pushing for the government to help farmers transition for a plant-based food system, and also match rewilding as the twin solutions for the climate crisis and obviously the animal emergency as well. When we were formed, a key part of the reason for Animal Rebellion was to influence the climate movement. Because we all know, we all agree, we're all on message already, but a lot of the climate movement is just not talking about the need for a plant-based food system and the fact that animal agriculture is one of the key causes of climate change. So we've managed to we were kind of hated at the beginning, I guess, and now we've kind of worked our way into the climate movement, and we are now generally accepted as a key player amongst the big other climate organisations. And we actually share an office with Just Stop Oil, and we managed to we made sure that it's a vegan office as well. So all of our basically all events and everything, the office is vegan. That was a condition if we were going to share an office with them. We have worked with Extinction Rebellion in the past. Myself and others from Animal Rising helped launch Just Stop Oil's oil terminal campaign. So as well as working with other animal organisations, it's really important to work with other organisations that are not already talking about these issues. I think unity in the movement, we're all united, we all agree, we all have the same end goal, even though we're all using different tactics. I think that we all agree that we need diversity of tactics to get to a plant-based food system or a vegan world, which we're all hoping for and working towards. I feel at times it's really, I know we're all focusing on our own things and we're all working so hard in our individual spaces, and I think that's needed. And I think when it makes sense, with this COP28 thing, when these situations arise quite strategically, it makes sense for people to come together. But it's also important to remember just supporting each other and keeping in touch. And also a lot of individuals, most of us here have all taken action with each other's organisations too. I think it can be really hard to just stop what we're doing and go and work on something else to collaborate. So I think there's different levels of collaboration. It can be as individuals supporting each other. Sometimes it's behind the scenes as well. Not every organisation can openly be supporting Animal Rising. And then also there are those public demonstrations of collaboration in coalitions. And I guess with Animal Rising at the moment we have multiple campaigns or projects happening. So we're best known for our non-violent direct action. So earlier this year we disrupted the Grand National, where Izzy and Sam have both taken part in our non-violent direct action before, and other people across the movement. So individuals from other groups come and take action with us. Going forward, with direct action. Over the next year, we're going to be focusing on welfareism and talking about how like these incremental steps really aren't enough, and we need transformative change if we're going to reach that vegan world that we really need to. And so yeah, hopefully there are ways that we can collaborate. There's going to be like, it could be through open letters, coalitions, maybe even investigations and things. And yeah, I think we can all we'll be discussing those things. Hopefully even later today would be nice. But yeah, there's also our other projects like plant-based universities, plant-based councils, plant-based schools is up and coming, and vegan support the farmers. And I think even just things like showing solidarity via social media, even if it's not physically being out on the street. But yeah, I think there are ways like through outreach as well. There's like a massive way that those I think it's like structured in a similar way as well. And yeah, I'm sure there's ways that we can collaborate there too.
Thank you, Rose. That's great. How relevant too that you mentioned about not only collaborating with animal groups, but also reaching out. We've all seen collaborations with Just Stop Oil, which is an incredibly powerful way to get our message heard in a wider environment. So congratulations, everyone, for really being proactive. And also, it's quite fair to note, different tactics, because if you're doing, you mentioned this earlier in another talk, trying to system change, get universities for a place, that's by consensus, and there's very different strategies and tactics, probably, or sometimes, not always. When you need a consensus, you've got to compromise, you've got to agree in some areas, you've got to find common ground. That's not easy when you're an animal rights advocate, because anything that says, it's okay to carry on using animals is very difficult to get on board with. Talking of getting on board, though, and I should just point out at this point that all my colleagues here did receive an email from me from the briefing. I don't think only one of them managed to get that. And it wasn't late in the day, so it's slightly unprepared. But this next question I'm going to ask all our groups is just to talk about a couple of campaigns that they would love to support, they've seen other people doing, that really resonates with their own, remit. And one of the things about the animal groups we've got is obviously we're limited in funding, we're limited in staff, resources. So sometimes, one group will come up with a really fabulous campaign, but they don't stretch to another one they'd like to do. This is an ideal example, really, where you said, well, hey, these guys are doing it, let's just get on board that one. So, is it you're going to start? Tell us what you'd love to see, even if not as Viva, but as yourself, I will do, that you think we should be really collaborating on.
Firstly, I think collaboration is like similarly to what Rose was saying. There's such different ways to collaborate. You can collaborate as groups, you can collaborate as individuals. Like Rose said, I've taken part in AL stuff, I've done AJP stuff, I've done Viva Free for years, I've done animal aid stuff. I think as individuals you can do a lot to collaborate and show that support, and also continue the communication between yourselves and just share resources and share knowledge. I think that's a really important tool. But openly, I think out and about, we've just kind of invested, I guess, into new university and schools campaigners, and we really, really want to work closely with plant-based unis. I mean, they've done an incredible job of infiltrating the unis and getting so many, that's a big shout out to PVU and stuff. And just incredible work, and I think we want to be able to help, and if we can spread it, that's exactly the same with Animal Aid. They've got amazing schools campaign going, and I think those two, that's the future. The future is the younger generation. I say that, I don't even feel that old. I feel like I'm still young. But yeah, I think that's really important. I think fostering a safe space to make younger people get active and take action is really, really important, and I can see that in these two groups. Viva Free, I really think they have an amazing approach to outreach. I think that outreach is spot on. They always come up with inventive stuff. George, the organizer in Bristol, I typically try and go to some of his events, and he's got this really cool matrix set up. It's just a really inventive and different way to do outreach, and I think it just captures people's attention so well. And I personally want to really work with Viva Free, and it's something that we're working with in Viva behind the scenes to try and get a partnership and see if we can do that. And I think that's really, really important. I mean, AJP catching the look at me. I've done my research without any research. I mean, the recent catching the chickens. I mean, that's horrendous footage that has been out there and like so not talked about. Like, I mean, I knew it happened, but I didn't know it happened to that extent. And I feel like I'm already within the industry working like to try and stop this. So I think it's incredible that we're showing that footage out there. And I think, you know, we should support each other with simple stuff like reposting. It's really easy, but like, you know, if we've all got the same following, great. But let's be honest, we don't all have the same following. So I think that is a really, really simple thing that we can do for campaigns that we think are really, really powerful. Like that investigation footage was amazing, and the coverage you guys got was incredible. So that's my take on it. I don't know. Is that good?
It's really interesting, especially because you work as an individual as well as for your company, because of the charity. So that's really inspiring.
We do it for the animals, so whether you work for a company, organisation or whatever, you're just trying to be a voice for the animals in whatever way, and we all do it well, just in different ways, and there's no right or wrong way.
I think what's important though, it's important that we all the groups retain independence. So, you know, the groups all have to work hard to keep going, keep going. You know, there's a defining factor. I know when I think about animal aid, I always think about animal experimentation. Mainly because animal aid have flown that flag for 40 years, through times when animal experimentation barely talked about. The shooting industries, you know, again, animal aid have always done. You've also got a really good vegan project, haven't you, Tom? So tell us about a couple of campaigns that you would like to see animal aid maybe getting more involved with, or you as an individual would like to.
Yeah. Just going back to what Izzy was saying, you know, collaboration doesn't have to be constantly, you know, still the street with people. Just sharing, crediting, things like that will help. It shows that we are doing this for the right reasons. In terms of campaigns, and I'd like to see animal aid get more involved in, like as he said, plant-based universities, I think that is the sort of pinnacle of what we should be doing, reaching beyond the sort of animal aid demographics tend to be quite older people, so so reaching younger people is a lot we need to do. So reaching people like Tim. So that's, and you know, Tim, you mentioned vegan supporting farmers earlier. I actually had a chance to go speak to them, and it's something that I'd like to work on during the new year. There's already semi-plans in place for stuff like that with animal aid, so that's something I'm hoping to, if I have time today, if I have time to, go speak to them about that. But yeah, things like that, because it's okay to say these things are terrible, what animal farming is terrible, but this solution is what we should be working towards, and I think that's what something like that, working towards a plant-based food system, as we mentioned already, is something that we should all be working for, and I'd like to see animal aid working more on that.
Solutions, key words, you know, we can campaign, but we have to provide solutions. I would just stick my all in here and say that I think that's one area the groups need to work on, is the claims making and the solutions need to be crystal clear. I'll just say, I think there's an area there, there's some work to do. Animal Think Tank are doing some of that work, and they're doing research into messaging and stuff. Lady's going to be joining us tomorrow, actually, which a couple of talks about Animal Think Tank. It's really interesting work. Basically trying to get on the same page and make sure that not just our campaigns resonate, but our solutions resonate too. And people actually want to engage with these solutions and not just perhaps have a good word with them. So it's just so amazing. Something that Fiona actually from Animal Aid mentioned last time, so one of the things she gets asked the most is, why don't the groups work together? And that has been a constant question from supporters. And now we're seeing this really accelerate, and that is pretty exciting. Sasha?
Thank you, Tim. And just so much to say. So I actually made a few notes here, so I'll try not to read. I wouldn't read. English is not my first language, it's an excuse that I always use to prepare my speeches. A very good point that you made, Tim, about autonomy. I think autonomy is preserving the autonomy for each organization and even individuals is incredibly important task. The other thing is I try to use the word partnership rather than collaboration because I think it has the meaning that is more relevant to what we're trying to achieve. But there isn't one size fits all. However, the good news is that there is a magic formula that we can all follow, and I've been observing the movement for a while now, and the salient topics that I've observed were it's the recognition, it's acceptance, and it's intersubjectivity, it's how we relate to each other. So the research suggests, actually, like most organisms, humans are very competitive. We are actually innately competitive. So in modern day, we can use that urge to compete to our collective advantage. So instead of competing to outrun each other, we can use this competitiveness to foster creativity and then share the ideas and work together to achieve a common goal. Also recognition. Recognition is incredibly important in this process. So we must give ourselves and each other credit and praise no matter how small or big a project or victory is. So German philosopher Axel Honneth, as well as a North American psychoanalyst Jessica Benjamin, they published articles and books on recognition theory. So recognition and intersubjectivity are paramount in our relationship, particularly in the relationship between the activists and the organizations as we deal with a very sensitive topic, which is oppression. So now the magic formula that I was talking about earlier. So if you imagine an orchestra, so you cannot play an orchestra with just one instrument. I mean, you can try, but you just end up with just one instrument. So you need a conductor, you need people to actually play the instrument. Although the notes are the same, but they're played. The music is played in different clef and different key. But symbology is exactly the same. So we need to actually follow the same notes as well. So you cannot just put an orchestra together and just expect it to play. However, it is important that we play in unison. So just like in orchestra where the notes are properly set up. Anyway, I think that's it. There is more, but I think I'll shout.
That's really good. And you know what, it made me think actually, when I look at animal rights and animal justice projects especially, one of the things they do, they tend to do their campaigns and they ask the question. They don't always give a solution, which is great because it means that people think that the solution they give may not be go vegan. So ask a question, but then there's an opportunity. And that's really good tactics actually, because no one likes being told what to do. So it's great to ask a question, get people to try join up the dots. But that's again where other groups come in and really put forward their vegan campaigns. So Adam May have a 7-day vegan campaign that you've been promoted recently with lots of high profile endorsers. Viva doing the 30-day vegan challenge, We the Free, you've got vegan outreach programs that do people get coaching. I don't know whether HOP2 or Animal Rising, but I know that you both subscribe to veganism being the solution. I would love to see, say, Animal Rising ask the question, Animal Aid giving the solution. These are really powerful campaigns, I think, the way to collaborate, because I think we know that it is, like Sash playing into this, it's not easy to go. Speciesism is deeply embedded on every level of society. And, it's not easy for people go vegan with us. And it's not just about how, it's not just about why, it's a whole thing. And that's a great analogy about the orchestra. Yeah, what a great analogy. That's fabulous. Just have to make sure we all play in tune. Otherwise we'll make a racket.
I'm afraid I haven't got any amazing analogies like that. Wow. What a way to show the rest of my thought. Yeah, I think something that I've seen this year, a campaign that I really would like AJP especially to get involved with is Viva's dairy campaign. So over the last few years at Animal Justice Project, we've investigated dairy ourselves, mostly through the calf trade. So looking at calf slaughter, calf dealers, calf traders, who are all different people. And also organic dairy. Obviously in the last 12 months or so, Viva's really gone hard on dairy side. And each year, so like 2 or 3 times a year, we run Dairy Still Kills National Days of Action. So we try to get as many local groups involved as possible. So we organised one in September and had about 20 grassroots groups holding average events all within the same week. So I think if like AJP and Viva could collaborate on dairy somehow, to basically do that the same kind of thing in groups all around the country doing the same thing at the same time, I think with both our voices together would be even more powerful. Because every time that I've organised one of those actions, I managed to get a bigger and better return. And like this last one we did is the biggest one that we've ever done. Doing a collaboration in the future would just be a way to get it even bigger, and even bringing in more groups as well. So, I think another project we don't really like, I mean we're not here today, hopefully people have heard of is the Vegan Movement. I think that's one of the most inspirational programs I've ever seen. I know the people behind it as well, they're just absolutely fantastic people. So whether that would be like an Animal Justice Project, collaborate with them, or just me personally supporting them, I mean I've supported them the whole journey already. For those that don't know, they're a group of people that raise money to buy out farmlands, and then they rewild that farmland, and then potentially put fruit orchards on it as well, if there's appropriate space. So they've now done 5 rows. They've just, I think about a week ago, they've had about 40 volunteers go and put trees on this land that was just completely desolate. It was just for dairy grazing. And now, it's now going to be a fruit orchard. They're going to let it rewild. And I think there's many groups, like animal rights groups, environmental groups, really need to support that as much as possible. Because, as I mentioned earlier, one of the solutions is animal sanctuaries. The other solution is starting to rewild them now. Like, buy that land, get it rewilded. In an ideal world, we have to buy the land of these farmers. But this movement towards a plant-based future is just not going fast enough. So they're really going in and they're literally taking the land away from the animal farmers. And they've since got back to the original places that they planted in the free wild and done like ecological surveys, and it's just like dozens and dozens of species that would never even be there otherwise at all. I think everybody should look at them. It's called the Vegan Movement, so please go Google them. They're on all social media as well. I'm a massive fan.
Thanks, that's really good, yes. Isn't that great? There's so many good projects too, and we're all just crying out for a little bit of support. When we put together, we can really make this rock. We know that. We've seen it enough times. We've also seen it with other social justice movements too. And the importance of good communication. The will is there, but we've got to raise the game. There's no doubt. I think we all know that. Animal groups bridging the gaps with the grassroots too. You mentioned how you involved the grassroots. That's really important. And there are some areas to get over. We should be oblivious to some of the blocks. We should be able to talk about and support discussions, seek some learning outcomes, encourage each other. We shouldn't shy away with any blocks. These should be discussed, and that's part of these panels. We're trying to help initiate this. Try and change our culture where we traditionally haven't always talked to each other. Now we can ask each other, we can work on that. That's just happening anyway. There's no secret this is happening widespread. But it's driven by younger activists, there's no doubt. You're right. And as somebody who's part of the old school, I take responsibility for the fact that we haven't left a great roadmap for the up-and-coming campaigners. And that's a culture that needs to change, and that is definitely changing, there's no doubt about it. We just need to encourage it that more, and we need to encourage more people to get involved, more campaigners to get more active, even if it's from your armchair. And one of the things I will say to the scientist development is there's a little group, it's coming up, there's so many activists with disabilities, and so many activists who perhaps no longer able to get out and about like they used to. And we kind of create a bit of a group to encourage more basically armchair activism. It's so important. Seeing this with petitions, Plant-Based Treaty really had some success with petitions. Rose, we're nearly out of time actually. This hour has sped by. My clock is saying 5 to 4. We've got another 5-10 minutes before you were on anyway. We were on at 4 o'clock. Did you know that? Yeah. Place it down. So, let's, what's exciting? What's happening? I mean, obviously, Animal Rising here. Well, what would you like to see amongst the other groups to support?
So I don't think I have any specific examples, but I think something that clearly needs to improve, like you said, is communication. And in Animal Rising, we were talking about potentially having a retreat or some kind of gathering for leaders in the animal movement to learn more about what each group is doing, because it's really hard to communicate this in an email to each other, or even just over the phone. We need to get in a room together and talk more about what's coming up over the next year or 2 years, plan in advance. It's really hard to just quickly make something happen without having good communication, and I think that could lead to us being able to mobilise people when there are trigger events. So that could be something like COP28, or something like the Marshall and Millions, when the police in London shot dead 2 dogs. We managed to mobilise quite a lot of people around that. But if we already had some kind of communication between lots of animal groups, or a network of us that can quickly mobilise if there is something like that the public are going to quickly get behind, I think that could be really beneficial in the future. Or what happened with Fiona the sheep in Scotland as well. We could have had a demonstration or something, but so I think there's clearly communication could be improved. And then I guess for me, I also think it would be nice to see other groups supporting non-violent direct action more openly, because I know it's quite controversial, and often some groups are not sure if they can openly be supportive of it, and I think behind the scenes everyone is, but I think it would be nice to see more support for non-violent direct action, and vice versa. I think we can, as long as we know what other groups are doing, we can show our support, whether it's through social media and other things.
Fabulous, thanks, Ray. So look, we're just about out of time now, so we're not going to go on because we've got other things to do. I know some of you might want to get off to other talks and stuff, but we have come up with a couple of things. You mentioned communication. I'm happy to say that there's plans next year for VegFest to host a bit of a conference next summer specifically focused on campaigning, activism, having some really serious discussions. There'll be big groups, there'll be breakout groups, there'll be smaller groups. The idea is to really have a real good focus on that, try and make progress on some of the some of the messages, some of the narratives, some of the solutions, how we all work together. The other thing we're going to do too, we've got a nice little website that we're planning to launch next year, which is going to help with activism, events, Vegan Artists Collective, animal sanctuaries, some of the smaller groups too that are not always represented, and importantly global. And I do recognise that this panel isn't looking that inclusive, and it's important. Representation is important, inclusivity is important, and we are all included. It is a global movement, and we need to encourage that. But I think, we know that with our groups, we're quite limited in the amount of people that can come out to a show like this. So I'm going to close up on that note, just say this is work in progress, watch this space, there's lots of it going on. And if anything you can take away from this is to reach out, start collaborating, supporting more, encourage that. Let the groups know how much you support that. And let's see if we can up the game, because we're running out of time. We need to act. We've got animal liberation to achieve. We've got a shift to plant-based food systems to achieve. We've got to do it actively. And the best route is to get together and do it as well. So on that note, I'm going to close up. I'd like to give our groups a big round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause if you're watching at home. Give yourself also a round of applause. Let's do it for the animals, we'll do it for the people, we'll do it for the planet, and let's just do it. That's it. Thank you.